Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jessie and today I am doing my maybe last big book haul of the year. This is books I've hauled over the past couple of months, either through my used bookstore or gifts from you all or my family for my birthday. So I have a lot of books here to talk about. So I'm going to try to go in terms of genre for the categories, and I will have chapter times down below if you just want to see books I've hauled in a specific genre. But first, before we even get into those, I want to start with the gifts that were so kindly sent to me by some of you all. First, I want to thank Kay, who so kindly sent me Gregor the Overlander by Suzanne Collins. So I had never heard of this book and I went and looked it up, and apparently it's a very popular middle grade series that I think sounds fantastic. I love Suzanne Collins, obviously best known for the Hunger Games trilogy, and this is a series that I definitely plan on reading pretty soon because I don't know how you knew it, Kay, but I definitely want to get more into middle grade, especially now that I have a daughter. I would like to build up a middle grade collection that I could eventually pass on to her. So this is something that I'm really excited to get to, so thank you so much, Kay, for sending me this. The next two books I have were so kindly gifted to me by Xenia. So kindly sent to me A Dark Queen Rises by Ashok K. Banker. This is the second book in the Burnt Empire saga. The first book is Upon a Burning Throne, which I read a couple months ago and totally loved. I thought it was so underrated. It hardly has any reviews on Goodreads, and the reviews it does have are pretty low, to be honest. So I went into that book with pretty low expectations, but ended up loving it. I thought it was beautiful, something I had never read anything like before, and so I was so excited to continue on with the series, and Xenia so kindly gifted me the sequel, so now I can get to it hopefully very soon and continue on with these characters' journeys, because this fantasy world that is this Indian-inspired fantasy world is so rich and so beautifully written, so I can't wait to dive back in and be with these characters again. And then the other book that they gifted me was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. So I read Beach Read last year and loved it. I thought it was such a good time that hit some deeper themes as well, got a little bit more heavy than I was expecting, but it was still such a sweet story. And this is Emily Henry's newest release that I've heard is somehow even better than Beach Read. People seem to be loving this book. I recently saw Erin over at Booked and Busy talking about this book and it being one of her favorites, and she got me so excited to read it. So I am really excited to be getting to Emily Henry's newest book. And then for my birthday, Sharon so kindly gifted me Redemptor by Jordan E. Fueco. I read Raybearer a couple months ago and really enjoyed it. I thought the world building was spectacular in that story, so I am really excited to continue on with this series, and Sharon is just the best. She's so generous. Can't thank you enough for your generosity, Sharon. It always brings a smile to my face getting a book in the mail from you, so I just can't thank you enough. So I'm really excited to be getting to this beautiful book. Then from my brother, he gifted me The Burning Light by Brent Weeks, the final book in the Lightbringer series, which this has been a long time coming. I've been reading this series for a while now, since last year when I started The Black Prism, and I've been really enjoying it. I will talk about my thoughts on Blood Mirror in this month's wrap up because I did finish that book this month, so I'm definitely ready to get into this fifth book. It is humongous. It doesn't look huge, but then you open it and the pages are so thin, but it's so floppy and so nice. I'm so excited to read this, so I can't wait to finish off the Lightbringer series. And then Alan and Christina over from the Library of Alexandria so kindly gifted me Clay's Ark by Octavia E. Butler, which is the third book in the Pattern Master series, which is a series I've been really enjoying. It starts with Wild Seed and then goes Mind of My Mind and then this book, and it's such a unique sci-fi series, unlike anything I've ever read before. I've really been enjoying it, so I'm very excited to continue on with this series, and I love these editions of the series so much. So thank you so much, Alan and Christina. You guys are so fantastic. I just love that you're a part of this community and that I have met you. I'm just so grateful for your friendship. And then for my birthday, from Abby over at Abby Salter, she gifted me Flamefall by Rosaria Munda, which is the second book in the Fireborn series, and I'm so excited to get to this book because Fireborn was so fantastic and I've heard nothing but good things about Flamefall. I love this cover. I know that they did the cover change, which it's always a bummer when they do that, but I can't be too mad because this cover is absolutely stunning, and Abby is just such a delight to have in this community. She recently celebrated her first booktube birthday for 1 year a couple weeks ago, so I'll definitely link her channel down below. She is the sweetest. I'm so grateful for her friendship, so thank you so much, Abby, for gifting me this. And also, as gifts from my wonderful husband, he gifted me a couple more Barnes & Noble's collectible editions, which I absolutely love collecting. These are some of my favorite editions, and I'm trying to kind of build up my collection slowly but surely. So he gifted me Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is stunning. I love the softcover edition. There is the spine, it's so cool. There's the back, and I think these editions are so gorgeous. So I'm really excited to have this as a part of my collection, and I'm excited to read it. I have heard so much about this story. I mean, it's been told over and over again. I definitely know the story, but I've never actually read the book. So I'm excited to actually read the book and discover more of the story for myself. Also gifted me Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man and Juneteenth in this gorgeous bind up. I love this cover. It is so stunning in person. There's the back, how cool, and then the gorgeous end papers with those gold edges. I love these editions so much. Heard great things about Ralph Ellison. I feel like he's just a classic that I am very excited to get more familiar with, so very excited to have this gorgeous edition on my shelves. And then this might be my favorite. This is the stunning Barnes & Noble edition of Les Mis. I don't know if you can see it very clearly on camera, but there is the front cover. And then there's the spine, so gorgeous. I love how detailed and intricate this cover is. I think it is so stunning. There are the end pages and those gorgeous gold edges. So Les Mis is a book I'm extremely intimidated by, but it is one of my husband's favorites. So I feel like I gotta read it just for that reason. And so I'm very excited to eventually get over my fear of this book and tackle it, because I feel like I'll really enjoy it if I can just dive in and stop being intimidated by it. And then, of course, right after I finished filming, I looked in the mail and had one more amazing surprise from my good friend Jessie over at the Bookish Mom. She was so generous and sent me Pawn's Gambit by Rob J. Hayes for my birthday. This is the next story in the Mortal Techniques series, the first being Never Die by Rob J. Hayes, which I read last month and really enjoyed it. It was such a cool concept, such a cool world, really fun characters to follow. It almost felt like I was playing a video game. So this is the next book. I think that it follows a totally new cast and a new story, but regardless, I'm just so excited to be back in this world and be exploring more of Rob J. Hayes' writing, because I just adored Never Die. So thank you so much, Jessie, for sending me this. All right, so that covers all of the gifts. So now I'm going to go kind of by genre. So let's start off with fantasy. The first book I have is Battle Mage by Stephen Arian, which is the first book in this Battle Mage series. And I've heard really great things about this author's work, and this author seems to be very active in this community. I've seen him comment on my own videos. He's always so kind. He's been in Discords that I've been in. I've had nothing but positive interactions with this author. So when I saw this at my local used bookstore, I definitely wanted to pick it up because I've heard great things. I know Jashana has been reading his works as well, so I definitely want to get to this one soon. I also grabbed The Spider by Leo Carew, which is the sequel to The Wolf, which I believe is the Under the Northern Sky series. I think I got that right. So I read The Wolf with the Shelf Space Book Club a couple months ago in July, and I really enjoyed it. I know not a lot of people did, but I know that this is Leanna's favorite book of all time. I think that she says The Spider is even better than The Wolf, and I really enjoyed The Wolf, so I'm really excited to get to The Spider, hopefully very soon, and be caught up in this series. I think the third book is called The Cuckoo, and I think it comes out next year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm very excited to catch up with this series because I really enjoyed it. It's very heavy military fantasy with a lot of political intrigue, which I always enjoy. I also finally got my pre-order. This is like one of the only books I've ever pre-ordered, and it was because of the stunning cover, and it is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This might be my favorite cover of all time. When I saw it online, I audibly gasped, and then when it arrived, I audibly gasped again. My mouth dropped to the floor. I just couldn't believe how gorgeous it was in person. Look at the spine, and the back is so beautiful, and then Naked Spine is even beautiful as well. I love this book so much. I haven't even read it, but I just think it is so stunning. And the little blurb on the back says, a princess in exile, a shape-shifting dragon, 6 enchanted cranes, and an unspeakable curse. It will take more than magic to find their way home. This just sounds so magical, so lovely, and I just couldn't help myself. So I'm really excited to have this as a part of my collection. I also grabbed Year One by Nora Roberts from my local used bookstore, and I know that Mara from Books Like Whoa, she is doing a whole Nora Roberts read along. I know that she was doing that a couple months ago at least. I don't know if it's still going on, but I know she loves Nora Roberts, and I've been wanting to check out a Nora Roberts book, and I've heard mixed things about this one, but I feel like from what I've heard about it, I would actually really enjoy it. So I'm kind of excited to get to this one. So I just grabbed it and want to try it out and see if I like her writing style at least. And I know that she does a bunch of other types of books, not just fantasy, so I would definitely still check out other works by her even if I don't love this, but I definitely wanted to check out her fantasy. I feel like I have to. I think it's just appropriate, so I'm very excited to get to this book and try it out. I also grabbed Scarlet by Stephen Lawhead, which is the second book in the King Raven trilogy. The first book was Hood, which I really ended up enjoying. It was this Celtic retelling of the Robin Hood legend, so Scarlet is going to hopefully pick up where we left off, because we left off in a very interesting place at the end of book one, and I really enjoyed the characters and the world and the politics, so I'm very excited to continue on with this series. And that kind of covers all of the fantasy books I picked up. So I do have one sci-fi book that was so kindly sent to me by the publisher. It's the advanced reader copy of Activation Degradation by Marina Lostetter. So I know that this author recently published a fantasy book called, I think, Helm of Midnight, which sounded really good, and I've heard some buzz going around the community about that book, but I didn't realize that she had published this new sci-fi book that was coming out at the end of this month, and when I got the email about it, it just sounded so cool. It's kind of pitched as Murderbot Diaries makes first contact, and I wasn't a huge fan of Murderbot. I read All Systems Red last year and didn't really like it all that much, which was a huge bummer because I was expecting to love it. I usually love artificial intelligence stories, or that trope included in books. And I just didn't get along with Murderbot's personality all that well and didn't love the story. So when I saw that blurb, I was like, well, maybe this will be an AI that I actually really enjoy, because I love the idea of Murderbot. So I love the idea of that story. So this sounded really, really cool. It's about this robot that wakes up, is activated, and is immediately thrust into a war where they are defending this mining colony on Jupiter against these invading aliens. The robot has no idea really the past. They have these gaps in their memory that kind of make it hard to remember like why they're fighting this war. So there's some secrets being kept from this robot, and when the robot ends up meeting these invaders, they discover some things that kind of open its eyes to this bigger conspiracy that may be going on. It sounds really cool. I'm actually currently reading it, and I'm really enjoying it. It took about 100 pages to really get going, but now it's really picking up, and I'm very intrigued by this mystery that's going on. So I'm really enjoying this one, and I think it comes out on the 28th of this month. So very excited for this one. All right, now let's get into thriller horror books that I picked up. I actually picked up quite a few of these because I have been wanting to read more thrillers and horrors recently. I've been kind of in that mood where I've been reading so much fantasy this summer that I kind of want to branch out again and read other things. So I picked up a lot of other standalones, contemporaries, thrillers, so let's get into that. I picked up The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, which is his newest release, and I've read 2 books by this author now, My Best Friend's Exorcism and Southern Book Club's Guide to Saying Vampires, and I loved both of them. My Best Friend's Exorcism is one of my favorite books now of all time, so I will pick up anything that this author writes. I've heard mixed reviews on his newest release, but I want to give it a shot myself, see if I like it, because I usually love his writing style and his characters, so I'm excited to check this one out. I also grabbed The Passengers by John Mars, which is a book I've heard a lot about. I think that Gabby, over from Gabby Reads, really enjoys this book, and I've just heard nothing but good things about John Mars. This one sounds like a really intense thriller about these characters that are riding in a self-driving car when all of a sudden the doors lock, the route changes, and they've lost all control, and then a mysterious voice tells them that they're going to die. So, like, say no more. That sounds great. I like knowing as little as possible about thrillers before going into them. So if I see someone's recommendation on it, I'll usually add it to my list without knowing anything else and just grab it if I see it. So excited to get to this one. I also got Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris. So I read Behind Closed Doors, which is one of my favorite thrillers by this author. And then I read The Breakdown by this author and did not enjoy that nearly as much. So I'm kind of hit and miss with this author so far, but I still want to give them a chance. So Bring Me Back is the next book that they published, I think, after those two, that I'm gonna try out, see if I enjoy it, see if it's something I love, like Behind Closed Doors, or something that's like meh, like The Breakdown. So hopefully it's in the former category. Got The Stranger in the Mirror by Liv Constantine, which is this author's newest release, and I read The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine and loved it. One of my favorite thrillers as well. So I feel like I should read something else from this author. So when I saw this at my local used bookstore, I grabbed it. I'm excited. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. I trust this author, so I'm just going to go into it blind and hope I love it. I also grabbed Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hiller, which is a book that I actually was recommended by a subscriber. So I had had this on my list for a very long time, and when I saw it at my used bookstore, I was like, oh, I know that book, so I just grabbed it. And I don't know anything about it, but I just know that one of my subscribers loved it. So I want to check it out and see if I love it too. I also got The Push by Ashley Audrain, and this is a newer release. It was put on my radar pretty recently, and I don't know too much about this. I think it follows a mother who just had a new baby, which is familiar, so I wanted to give this one a try, and I've heard, I think, mixed reviews. I've heard some people really love this, and then some people think it's just meh, so I'm kind of curious which side I'll be on. Hopefully I love it, but I've heard some buzz going around about this book, so I wanted to pick it up and see what it was all about. Last thriller / horror book I picked up was The Shadows by Alex North, which I read The Whisper Man by this author and loved it. Once again, one of my favorites of all time. So again, I trust this author, don't know anything about this book, but wanted to pick it up anyway and read it because I love The Whisper Man. So hopefully I also love The Shadows. Last category is contemporaries and fiction, just general fiction, all the things. So first I grabbed Circe by Madeline Miller, which I used to own and then unhauled it because it was the Book of the Month edition that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I actually really enjoyed the book, so I wanted to own it, and this edition of it is so stunning. So I got this edition instead, and I'm so glad I did because it is so beautiful, and the naked hardback is just as beautiful, so I'm really glad I have this and I really enjoy this book, so I'm excited to eventually reread it. I also got The Hypnotist's Love Story by Leanne Moriarty. So this is, for me, an auto by author. I love Big Little Lies, What Alice Forgot, My Husband's Secret. I've read so many books by this author, so it's just an author. She writes books that are very bingeable, that are very easy to get through, and something that I can pack in a bag when I go on vacation. It's just something I know I can turn to and have a good time with, so I'm excited to read this book. I don't know much about it. Again, it's just kind of an auto by author situation, so I'm really excited to get to this one. Kind of the same thing as before, I picked up Kristen Hanna's Firefly Lane, and Kristen Hanna is an auto by author as well. I've read 2 of her books, and both of them that I've read are in my top 10 favorite books of all time, so I figure I should read as much Kristen Hanna as I possibly can. And I know Firefly Lane is a very popular book of hers, and I know that it was just recently adapted into, I think, a mini-series on Netflix. I have not seen that mini-series. I would like to read the book first, but I think this is about 2 best friends, and I don't know anything else about it. And that's okay, because I trust Kristen Hanna to tell a good story that I'm going to enjoy. You're going to notice a theme here. Most of these books that I picked up are all from authors I trust or have previously really enjoyed, and I found that I really want to start collecting more authors that I've read and enjoyed. I just like having like an author's entire backlist of books and their recent releases. I like having authors that I trust and I go to, and so I want to do that more. One of those is Catherine Center's What You Wish For. This is her newest release. I read 2 books by her, How to Walk Away and Things You Save in a Fire. I really enjoyed both. How to Walk Away is fantastic. I love that book. And Things You Save in a Fire was really cute. I didn't enjoy it quite as much, but it was really cute still, and I did enjoy it. So I don't know much about this one, but guess what? I trust the author, so I'm excited to get to this one. Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman. Frederick Bachman is an auto by author. Beartown I love. Anxious People I love. I've really enjoyed everything I've read by him. I've also read My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry and A Man Called Uwe, which both I enjoyed. So Britt Marie Was Here was the only one I think that I haven't read besides his short stories. I think I need to read his short stories still. Or at least his novellas. I don't know if they're short stories. I think they're novellas. Anyways, whatever. I need to read this. So I grabbed it. Another situation of me trusting the author, Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Gyasi. I read Homegoing, which is one of my favorite books of all time. I love that book so much. So Transcendent Kingdom is her newest release, and I had to get it because I've heard that this is so beautiful as well. I mean, her writing style was so stunning in Homegoing. It was so unique and unlike anything else I'd ever read. So I'm so excited to get to Transcending Kingdom. And I love this cover. I think it's so beautiful. The simplicity of it, it's so pretty. So I'm so excited to get to this one. We are almost done. So 2 books I picked up from the same author who I've read before and loved. That is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue and The Pull of Stars by Emma Donoghue. This is her most recent release. This was released a couple years ago, I think, at this point. But she is the author of Room. And Room is also one of my favorite books of all time. And I haven't read anything else by this author. So I just want to read all the things Emma Donoghue because Room was such a amazing book. I loved it. I cried so much. It's so beautiful. So I'm so excited to get to both of these. They both sound wonderful, but really it's just I picked them up because of the author. So very excited for both of them. Great, and we are at the last book. We made it. Oh, thank goodness. So this is the only book that I picked up that wasn't based on the author, but was just based on recent hype, and that is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So this is not an author I've read before, but I've heard wonderful things about this book. It is a recent release, and it has the most stunning cover. I love this cover. It's so beautiful, and I've just heard really good things. I again don't know much about it, but I'm just kind of trusting the hype on this one, and hopefully I will enjoy it as much as everyone else seems to be. So excited for this one as well. Those are all the books that I've hauled. That was a lot. So I'm pretty much on a book buying ban until the end of the year. So I have a lot of reading to do. I'm very excited about it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.